I'm Dennis Anderson along with Julie Zenner. Here's what's coming up on Almanac North.
Residents of Duluth will vote this fall on a new way of electing city leaders. Our guests will discuss the pros and cons of ranked choice voting.
Hard to believe, but the Great Lakes Aquarium will celebrate its 15th anniversary next week with attendance rising and its education programs growing.
And we'll bring you some of the week's top business headlines and a news file story from 25 years ago.
Stay cool with Almanac North coming up next. Hello and welcome to Almanac North. Thank you very much for watching. Julie, plenty of warm weather for outdoor activities this weekend.
Yeah, for folks that like that sort of stuff.
Ooh, I love it like this.
I know you do.
All right, you've got the first subject.
All right. Thanks, Denny, and welcome everyone. Voters in Duluth will have an opportunity to vote on a significant change to the way they elect city officials this fall. A petition calling for a citywide vote on ranked choice voting was verified this week by the city clerk. The measure will appear on the November ballot, and if approved, the city will move to the new system. Well, here to explain how it works and discuss its merits is Henry Helgen, a member of the Duluth Better Ballot campaign, and Zach Filipovich is a Duluth City Councilor who is not in favor of switching to ranked choice voting. And gentlemen, thank you very much for coming in to the nice, cool studio on this warm evening.
Thank you for having us.
Henry, how exactly does ranked choice voting work?
Well, instead of having two elections where there's a low turnout primary followed by a general election, all of the candidates would show up in the general election to be voted on by all of the voters. So, and the way the voters do this is they rank their candidates 1, 2, 3, and the way that it's judged then is the lowest vote getter is eliminated, and you take their second choice instead of their first choice. So it continues the principle of one person, one vote, but it's just, it combines the two elections into one.
Zach, you don't favor the switchover. Why is that?
Well, there's actually a great number of reasons. One is the standard of one person, one vote does need, I think, it has been a tradition in our country and in Duluth. The second reason is ranked choice voting is very confusing. When you go in and actually count the votes, and that's how you know that your vote was counted the same as everyone else. That's how you know that your vote is validated. It's hard to see how your vote was actually counted, and some people's votes don't get counted in the end. And other elections in Minnesota and other places that have ranked choice voting, it's generally 7 times higher a spoiler rate for ballots when they use ranked choice voting.
Henry, what do you say to those criticisms or concerns that maybe there is that confusion in how votes are counted?
Well, it's been used successfully in Minneapolis and St. Paul and other locations, and so voters are able to use it there. They're able to use it here. We've been out hosting tables at different events, and we ask kids to rank their favorite candy. And when there's candy online, they're able to do it without instruction. They just do 1, 2, 3. So
some cities have adopted ranked choice voting, but then they've pulled back. I can think of one out in California, one in Colorado. There have been a few others around the country. Why do you think that is?
There's a couple of potential issues there. One of them is education. It does require some voter education. There is a change to the voting system, and so in Duluth we've got the Duluth Better Ballot campaign, and we're going to pull on best practices from Fair Vote Minnesota that implemented that kind of education for Minneapolis and St. Paul. The second reason is sometimes the losing candidate or candidates will move to a repeal effort in a low turnout special election afterwards. So it's not a failure of the design of the system itself. It's just an attempt to revert back to the old system.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I think people want to revert back to the old system after they've tried ranked choice voting. I know one county in particular, Pierce County, they passed ranked choice voting by 52%, a fairly narrow margin, to get it on the ballot in 2006. And after a number of issues, they did a survey of all the residents in that county. 66% said that they did not like ranked choice voting. Another nearly 5,000 were not quite sure, maybe didn't know how it worked fully. So in 2009, they repealed it. So those are a few more issues that the people have stated.
Now, ranked choice voting will be on the ballot this November, is that correct?
That's correct.
Does that, if it passes, does that mean we have it, or does it have to go to the city council who will make the final choice? What happens?
Well, you know, if it passes, then the council and the city clerk's office will be kind of under the gun to make sure that we have everything in place to use the...
So the citizens will determine if it's used. They don't, it's not just a system where they determine this should go to the council for a vote.
I believe that's correct, okay. Yes, and it's a simple majority, so all they need is 50% plus one to get ranked choice voting to be our new form of democracy in Duluth.
Would there be any additional costs associated with this in terms of having to switch over the voting equipment or just in processing the election results?
The first election will be a little bit higher on education costs. Mm-hmm. But the current voting machines are all ranked choice voting compliant, the current voting machines in Duluth. There was a task force that Mayor Ness appointed in 2011, and they reviewed the costs of this. And they determined that over a 10-year period, ranked choice voting would save over $200,000. So per election, after the first, it can save $45,000 an election for skipping the primary.
Yeah. As a councilor, you must be interested in those numbers.
Well, I mean, as a councilor, I'm always in favor of saving money for the taxpayers of Duluth. But, and actually, this number was stated, and I'm glad that you brought up that $45,000 number, Henry, because that's been used a couple different times. The actual cost of running a primary election, this has been verified by the Chief Administrative Officer for the City of Duluth, is $28,000. So that's an overinflation of that number. Also, I know in Minneapolis and in other places where you do not keep up that education piece, ranked choice voting, the numbers significantly drop, and people that understand it, because you always have new voters coming in and registering and making their choice at the ballot box.
Henry, is there any indication that ranked choice voting leads to more civil campaigns?
Well, one of the principles of it is that a candidate has to appeal to their own first choice voters. But in order to get a majority, which is required under ranked choice voting, they also have to appeal to the other candidate's second choice. So the goal is not to go highly negative with lots of TV ads immediately. The goal is to build coalitions to understand issues from a broader base of support, to reach out to people outside of the political bubble. So in that way, it does encourage more civil campaigns.
And you know what? I think that's logical, but I think we all can agree that campaigns are sometimes not very logical and driven on emotion. And Australia, who has been using ranked choice voting for about 100 years now, they have actually they have a two-party system, and it's actually more divisive than we have in our country. I know that's zooming out a little bit past Duluth, but that's another thing to consider.
Mm-hmm. Now, my understanding is this would only apply to city elections. Is that true? So our area wouldn't be doing away with primaries, because presumably the county would still have them, and the school district would still have them, and the state would still have them. Why separate yourself out of the system?
That's a good question. I do not have the answer.
This applies to city council and mayor races, and we can do that in these races because those are ruled on by the city charter. It's a charter kind of election. Other groups are ruled by statute. So those are statutory groups, like the school board and state races. So in order to eliminate the election here, we have city council, mayor, and school board races. perhaps the school board race could be moved to coincide with the state race in the primary.
Are we adding more expense then if we have different election dates? Or that you would not propose different dates for those?
No, we're not proposing that. We're proposing that this system will eliminate the primary for city council and mayor candidates. And if there's anything else that corresponds on the same primary, perhaps that could be moved to correspond with the state elections in a different year.
Councilor, why is Duluth considering this at this point in time?
Well, and actually, Duluth has been, and people in Duluth have been thinking about ranked choice voting for a number of years. I think last year at our June 9th meeting, when I first kind of heard about the issue, it was stated that that folks in Duluth were thinking about ranked choice voting for the previous 8 years. So it's gaining a little bit more ground now after 8 years, but we'll see what voters have to think in November.
Mm-hmm.
I can see people my age kind of scratching their head because it's something new. Are you finding this more popular with younger voters?
It's whenever we can talk to voters, we found that they're really quick to understand the concept. One thing that we've done successfully is we've had voter education meetings where we do a sample ballot. We vote for Duluth's favorite attractions. And then we judge it like election judges would. And then when people see, okay, I see my favorite attraction did not win a majority, and then they go through the counting and they see, oh, okay, now I can see how they have a majority of combined or first choice plus then other second and third choices.
Zach, you had a comment?
Oh, well, no, I'm just glad that you brought that up because, again, back in Pierce County where they repealed ranked choice voting, they had several comments kind of collected in this survey that they had. And one person, or at least one person said, I'm 75, I do not understand this, this is too confusing. And there were many, many more. In fact, one quote said, stop trying to fix what isn't broken, no RCV, it seems fishy. So I don't want Duluth, to make a mistake in that regard. I just want to make sure that voters have the education when they go into the ballot box.
Is it the proverbial solution in search of a problem?
Well, there are a number of reasons that people want to adopt this. We have over 2,000 registered voters that signed the petition or were verified. We've collected over 3,000. And one of the problems that we're trying to address is the disparities between income, white, educated people that vote in the primaries and the general population. So in all cases that we've found, there was a survey done by Edison Research of the Minneapolis election. 85% of all voters found the system was easy to use, including over 80% on every measure based on age, gender, income, education level, and race. Still, over 80% found that the system was simple to use and they'd prefer to use it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I just have a comment on that because when you zoom in, and this is according to the Center for Policy and Governance from the Humphrey School down in Minneapolis, when they studied zooming in on the different wards, they found that 25% of voters in less affluent and minority neighborhoods, 25% less people voted all three of their votes. And because of that, you get your first vote and then you don't have anymore. So if you vote for your candidate that you really, really like and want to be in office and want to represent you, that person is now out and you no longer have a voice.
Okay.
Well, gentlemen, we ran out of time, but I'm sure that everyone around this area is going to be hearing a lot more about this leading up to the election to educate people so they know what they're voting on.
Yes.
All right.
A great discussion.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now, let's dig into our news file archive for a look at what was making news 25 years ago this week.
These scenes are what got the creative juices flowing for town meeting participants today. Scenes of pollution-free trains in Europe and Japan traveling at speeds up to 300 miles per hour and without a single fatality.
All across the world, there's a transportation revolution occurring. It's unbelievable. The world's on the move.
Levine and other officials are asking cities like Duluth if they want to get into the high-speed train business. 3 states, Illinois, Wisconsin, and Minnesota, have agreed to study the feasibility of a route between Minneapolis, Madison, Milwaukee, and Chicago. But now feeder cities like Duluth are being asked if they'd like to become part of the high-speed train network.
If it does go through, it would open up this part of the state the same accessibility that the Twin Cities area, to the Twin Cities area that we had with I-35.
This afternoon, the city of Duluth officially signed on to support initial research. The next steps will include determining how many folks would be willing to ride the trains and where they'd like to go. The research is expected to take 2 to 3 years, and if it's found that it's feasible, high-speed trains could be a reality by the end of the 90s. For Evening Edition, John Gagnon, KDLH News.
July 29, 2000 was a big day in Duluth as the highly anticipated Great Lakes Aquarium opened to the public for the first time. The freshwater aquarium was among the first to focus almost exclusively on the Great Lakes and its native fish and animals. Now, 15 years later, the aquarium is ready to celebrate a milestone anniversary and continuing growth in its education programs that annually impact thousands of students in this region. Joining us tonight is Sarah Erickson, the Director of Education at the Great Lakes Aquarium. Welcome, Sarah. Can you tell us what's planned for the anniversary? I think it's next Wednesday.
It is. We have some special things planned, both sort of for the general public and for our membership and all of those that have supported us throughout the years. We'll have some special programming happening throughout the day. So our interpretive programs, the otters will get some special treats. We'll have additional activities for families and visitors to participate in. And we also are offering a reduced admission rate, so offering our group rate for the day to folks to come on in. And
on Wednesday, what time will doors open and how long will you stay open?
We'll be open regular hours from 10 to 6. Later in the day, we'll be having an additional sort of celebration looking at opening our new Discovery Center, our new classrooms and meeting spaces. So there'll be some additional festivities associated with that.
I think a lot of people are aware that the aquarium got off to a little bit of a rocky start for a number of years. It came awfully close to closing at least one point. For people who haven't been there in a long time or maybe have never been there, what's the aquarium like today?
The aquarium is a very vibrant space. It's really a place that, if you're looking for lots of activity, something, the ability to splash and get close to animals, it's an ideal space for it. We also see folks coming to just have a quiet moment in front of the water features and in front of the tanks and just have that tranquil time. It's full of hands-on interactives, live animals. We've been really working at our wayfinding and just the color story in this space to make it welcoming and inviting and really draw people into the Great Lakes and to waters around the world.
Sarah, what's the aquarium's Discovery Center?
Sure. The Discovery Center is a suite of 3 new classrooms, a teacher resource center, and it's also a meeting space so folks can bring in community groups to have presentations. We do some of that already, but we've really worked at creating a space that meets our current needs, both from an educational programming standpoint internally, but then also what the community needs as this gathering place around water resources and wildlife.
I think early on the aquarium had maybe a bit of an identity crisis where it was a tourist attraction and an educational place. And it seems like you've found that right balance right now.
Sure.
Talk about that and how that really turned around for you.
Sure. I think it's really a matter of perspective and thinking about the type of education that we do and the type of experience we're hoping to provide, this sort of free choice experience where you get to follow your nose and be curious and ask questions, no matter what age you are or who you're there visiting with. We've really looked at that the exhibits are really an enhancement to the educational programming. They're a tool that we can use to draw people in. Live animals do an amazing amazing job of starting the conversation. So folks might not know a lot about wetlands, let's say, but they're really interested in the otters. So it's a starting point to begin the dialogue about bigger topics. And I think that it's really a mind shift in thinking that the exhibit galleries themselves are not separate from the mission of the organization, the same mission that has been before there was a building from day one. So we're really looking at how do the exhibits, how do our collections enhance the programming? How can we use them in unique ways that are going to take our community to sort of another level of understanding of the Great Lakes?
We've had now about a month of really some warm summer weather.
Yeah,
has that done anything to enhance maybe the tourist trade, the visitors that are coming to the aquarium?
I would be, you'd have to look at sort of the trends across the summer, so it's a little too soon to tell. Generally, when the weather is gorgeous, folks go to the beach, which is great. Yeah. But we've seen a steady visitorship throughout the summer. We've had some new exhibits that have opened in the past year, so we've been fairly steady with our own programming, camps, classes, those kinds of things. So generally, we say rainy days, we're a little more full. There's so many incredible things to do in Duluth on a beautiful day, so we're not worried about that. We're hoping people enjoy their time.
You mentioned the programs and the camps, and that's just exploded for the aquarium, kind of leading to the need for the Discovery Center.
Right.
Talk about how many people the aquarium really reaches and the popularity of some of those programs.
Sure. We've been really working at being very intentional in where our program focuses are and making sure we're not duplicating efforts that are already happening in the community. What can we do that's really special and unique and draws on our resources? And so we've been focusing on preschool and summer camp. We've actually expanded those programs due to popular demand. We have wait lists. We want people who want to be there to participate. So we've expanded summer staff to meet that demand. So every week we see about 50 3 to 5-year-olds throughout an 8-week run in the summer. That program runs year-round. And then the camps, we've actually doubled the number of camps we're offering this summer because we had so many folks on the wait list. And again, we're really trying to offer a very specific kind of experience for kids that are interested in sciences, interested in animals, really want that behind the scenes experience with us. And so we have a lot of member families who send their children. It's a great entry point into other programs that we continue to.
For those tourists who may be watching from their hotel rooms this program tonight,
sure.
If they're scratching their head and kind of wondering what we could do tomorrow, what would you tell them they would see tomorrow if they came to the aquarium?
Sure. If they came tomorrow to the aquarium, we have programming that happens throughout the day. Every couple of hours, we do animal encounters. You get a closer sense of an animal. You might meet a turtle or a snake. You might get to see one of our animal care staff work with the animals closely, doing enrichment and feedings. You'd get to splash, get your hands wet. I sort of feel like if you don't get wet at some point during your visit, then you really haven't had the full experience. So they really get to participate in and kind of build their own experience. They might be more interested in some of the historical stuff we have. They might be more interested in, how do the locks function and floating their boat from, Lake Superior all the way to the sea. There's just a lot. There's a little bit for everybody. It's just a beautiful space, big decks that look out over the harbor. So it's there's something for everyone, I think. And I think that one of the things you had asked about was programming. Our programming for schools sort of took off. We've always done a lot of work with the schools, but this spring, we actually taught more students than we have in any other spring in actual classes on site, and that's been really exciting. They come on
field trips from all over the region?
Yep, from all over, and it's been really fun to see more and more classrooms and teachers and communities using local topics to teach and learn. That's something that's huge for us. We really want to see more of that happen.
And part of the Discovery Center also is a teacher resource center.
It is, yeah. So there are materials in there that were developed by the aquarium, but also in partnership with other organizations, Sea Grant, the DNR, Coastal Program. They're all materials that are available for free, and a lot of them are specific to current research or topics that are happening here in the area. So we have props and tools and all kinds of things that can expand learning.
Sarah Erickson, Great Lakes Aquarium, thanks for telling your story.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Appreciate it.
Yes.
Let's turn now to the week's business news from the folks at Business North. Ground was broken Monday for a collaborative effort that will create the Northwest Wisconsin Cancer Center. It's being built by Ashland Memorial Medical Center and Essentia Health on the Ashland campus they already share. The $12 million project is scheduled to open next March. A new Essentia clinic will also be built as part of the project, bringing the total investment to $20 million. The added healthcare jobs and patients will have an $18 million annual economic impact, according to Ashland Mayor Deb Lewis.
The Iron Range city of Taconite has been selected by a Minneapolis advertising agency as the site to promote taco products. The Fallon agency will produce an event called Taco Night in Taconite for their client, food producer Old El Paso. The agency wants to make a television and web commercial for Old El Paso, which is a division of General Mills. Executives of the company are calling the event a community night of food and fun. The city will also receive $10,000 as a fee for participating.
Also on the range, Nashwauk city officials have voted to explore options to develop tax-forfeited property for commercial use by an auto recycler. Revolution Recycled Auto Parts hopes to redevelop property on the south side of Highway 169. Consultant John Fido said the proposed development would be a nearly $300,000 business in its first phase and would potentially employ 6 to 8 people. For more on these and other stories, visit businessnorth.com.
Well, it's time to call with your comments on this week's show. Dial 218-788-2849 to leave a message or send an email to almanacnorth@wdsc.org and browse the WDSC website for updates on your favorite PBS programs, find out about events at the station, or to check our broadcast schedule. That feels like a good night for taco in Duluth.
I don't know. I'm liking that taco night and taconite.
I like that.
That's a clever play on words.
It really is. And 10 grand for the city. Not bad.
Yeah, that's good.
All right. Thank you. For Julie and the crew at Almanac North, have a great weekend. I'm Dennis Anderson. Good night, everybody, and be kind.